It's no driving gloves. Let's see how this works again tonight. Still going to be me tonight. Still putting a little bit of game plan together on how no driving gloves going ahead. I'll tease right now. We'll have a big interview coming up on our next episode, whether it be next week or in 2 weeks, probably in 2 weeks. We let this every other episode when I'm doing it solo really works well. And I think I'm giving you a much more value for your time because I'm coming in prepared. I'm coming in ready, coming in hot. So I've got a topics tonight. I think we're going to touch a little bit on new stuff. We're going to touch a little bit on old stuff. We're going to touch a little bit on sports cars. We're going to touch a little bit on electric. We're going to touch a little bit on branding. Just a whole bunch of little topics tonight. We're going to bounce back and forth. Please feel free to jump into the comments. And if you have any opinions on anything that I'm saying, any of these ideas that I'm tossing out here, I'm going to keep you informed of what's going on in the car hobby, because that's what No Driving Gloves is. We are the gloves off approach to the car hobby. And I was finding it, there was a Michigan dealership this week that showed up in the news because they lost their license in Michigan to sell new cars, because their definition of a new car differs from Michigan. And diving into this story was a little bit interesting and fun. I guess we'll say more interesting. It's really not fun. It's really puzzling, because I'm going to ask you a question, pause for a second, and then we'll go on. What is your definition of a new car? Now, see, I'm not one who says the odometer only has to read 12 miles or 8 miles. I mean, I've been around cars that are new that have 100 or something. I've actually been the first registered owner buying my 1991 Lotus Elan M100 off MSO with 34,000 miles on the car. And I purchased that car in 2002 because the dealer had never sold it, had always run it on dealer plates. And the owner used it and his wife used it as a fun toy until they went to a Mercedes convertible and this car became available. I bought it from the original dealership. It wasn't even a Lotus dealership anymore, but it had never been titled, and I bought it as a brand new car. Now, is that a brand new car? You know, it's interesting. And I was like saying that, you know, I was the original owner of this car, but I did buy it with 35,000 miles on it. And that's kind of where this Michigan dealership's getting in trouble. They're selling demo cars and loaner cars. You know, when you take a car in for service and they give you a car to use, you know, these cars will rack up 1,000, 1,500 miles. And then the dealership sells them as a new car, probably for full boat dollars. I never really did get a confirmation in anything I read on this, but they sold it as a new car. Is that a new car? I mean, it was used as a rental car, technically, especially in the loaner situation. While money never changed hands, it was driven by many different people for potentially weeks at a time. I can't tell you. Not sure what cars exactly were involved, but Michigan doesn't define that as a new car. So hence the dealership loses their license or has their license suspended. But it just makes me wonder and makes me want to ask you, what do you think is a new car? I would be very disappointed if I had purchased a car and found out it was a loaner or a demo, because I'm used to seeing those on lots with a slight discount because of that. It was disclosed. Again, this dealership wasn't disclosing that it was used as a loaner or such. You know, when I bought my Maverick earlier this year, I actually got it with 1,600 miles on it. Now, I put 1,500 miles of those on there, but that's kind of the same thing. If I we thought we had the financing all wrapped up. They let me take the truck home. They knew I was going on a road trip, that I was going to put 1,500, 1,600 miles on the car. And they never contacted me for the whole week. And when I was on my way back, I said, okay, when do I need to come in and sign the paperwork? And they go, oh, we've got a little snafu. We need you to come in. And we ended up sorting through everything, and it wasn't a big deal. It was just something that was miscommunicated. But we had to rewrite all the paperwork showing I was buying the car with 1,600 miles on it, as opposed to buying it with 24, I think was when I first test drove it. And it had 24 because it was delivered to one of the dealers or one of the sister dealers of where I bought it. And they had to drive it a couple, 15 miles or something to this dealership so that I could pick it up. So yeah, if I wasn't the one buying it, it wasn't going to, I don't think they would have sold it as new. They would have had to have sold it as a demo or something. That's there's some honesty in this dealership, and I've worked with them before. But like I said, this Michigan dealership really raises these questions, and it's something you might want to look into in whatever state you're in or wherever you're located, to find out what your state classifies as a definition of a new car. So that if you do go in and there's some car that's got 1,453 miles on it, and they're selling it to you as a new car with no discounts or anything, can they legally do that? Odds are, it varies state to state. I can't say odds are. I don't know what states. I don't know every state's legal definition. But as car people out there, or as somebody just scrolling by the podcast, what is your definition of a new car? That's kind of, like I said, that's kind of where we're at on that one. So we're going to be asking those questions, but there's been a lot of EV news in the last couple of weeks. And you read the headlines and they sound horrible for EVs. EVs have had it rough. Don't get me wrong. For the last, since the tax incentive went away at the beginning of October, EV sales are down. I think it's something like 28% on year over sales compared to last year's October. That was kind of expected. I think the EV manufacturers expected it. Ford tried to play some games. General Motors tried to play some games to kind of extend that rebate, and General Motors got caught. And after General Motors got caught, Ford kind of admitted what they were doing was very similar to what General Motors was doing. And while legal, go back to our previous story, wasn't quite ethical. So everything's sorted out with there, and there's no fuzzy rebate math going on. But the one headline, one of the headlines I read, Scout Motors has 130,000 reservations. Now remember, the new Scout coming from Volkswagen, retro-styled EV. Like I said, the headline, Scout Motors has 130,000 reservations. Nearly all want the gas engine. What does that make you think? Number one, I'm going, the Scout's not available with a gas engine. I'm a car guy. I know that. I kind of follow the Scout at launch. We talked about it on the podcast earlier. All Scouts are EVs. Nearly all want the gas engine means everybody wants the range extender. Kind of like Dodge is doing with their electric truck. They're getting rid of they abandoned their full electric truck. And the one they're selling you comes with a 6-cylinder motor. I can't remember if it was a V6 or an inline 6, but all that motor does is serve as a generator to extend the range, basically recharge the batteries once the batteries become depleted. And that's exactly the same thing in the Scout. Well, kind of. The Scout's using a turbocharged 4-cylinder that's actually mounted behind the rear axle as a generator, so that when the batteries get depleted, it can continue to go, which this is did I say Dodge? I meant Ram. I'm sorry. This is the ideal electric vehicle for Americans. This is what the Chevrolet Volt and the Cadillac ELR had. It's kind of what my hybrid Maverick has, even though my Maverick will not run 100% on electric. It's not a plug-in hybrid or anything, but I get a lot of electric. Since I bought the truck, about 30% of my miles have been on electric. I've got about 8,300 miles on the truck now, and about 3,000 of those, honestly, are all electric. I think it's 2,800 and change. So even without this generator thing, the truck's able to, through regenerative braking, through just, coasting through, however, it's able to keep the batteries replenished, and with some careful driving, you can get pretty decent electric. I mean, think of a normal truck with 25 miles a gallon. I've saved, is that 100 gallons of gas, $3 a gallon, say, $300. I'm not doing it to save money. It's never really going to pay for itself, but it still adds up. And then when you're going to full electric, like the Scout here, if you buy it as full electric without the gasoline motor, and like I said, 130,000 orders, 30,000 of those are not looking for the extended range option on it. And I'm trying to, if you do buy it full electric, it's a nickel manganese cobalt battery that offers you 120 kilowatt hours and offers you about 350 miles till you have to recharge. And it's a big, heavy battery pack. Now, if you do the gasoline motor, you are getting a lithium ion phosphate battery that's about half the capacity, but gives you about 150 miles to drive on electric. For most people, 150 miles will cover them for 98% of their driving. Think of the last time you went on a 150-mile round trip road trip. Not many people do it. I mean, I do it a lot because of my job. But with this, you get 150 miles of electric. Some of this you'll get back with the regenerative braking, going downhill, coasting, a lot of ways to put this electricity back in the battery without even having to plug it in. But you could plug it in, when you get home, plug it in, and you don't even do it on 110. You don't even have to shuck out the money for a level 2 or a level 3 charger. Then let it put a few more miles on it. And if you do run out of electric, then the gasoline engine kicks on. And it's a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, but it kicks on and will increase your total range to about 500 miles, which basically means you get 150 miles of electric and 350 miles out of the gas capacity of the truck to run this 4-cylinder generator that's replenishing the batteries. I think this, that is the way we're going to get electric cars accepted in this country. I've said it for a long time. This hybrid stuff and this extended range electric vehicle, or EREV, that's the way it should be done. That's the way to do it. And we've got these, the Scouts doing this, but also in the same news, same breath almost, Ford comes out and says the new Ford Lightning. Well, we put a lot of eggs in that basket, and we were hoping for like 150,000 sales a year. Turns out they sold 33,000 Lightnings last year. They've reduced capacity. They've laid off people at the factory. Seems Americans don't want a fully electric pickup. I mean, the thing you can, plug it into your house and run your house in case the power goes out if you buy $1,000 adapter to go on your house. It's a brilliant idea. It's a great idea, except it's the range fears. And especially if you're buying a truck to be a truck, which, yes, most of us don't, unless you're buying it for your business or whatever. But the electric Lightning's a great vehicle. Power your work site, power your house, never have to buy gas, plug it in, never, does a lot of good things. But people just don't want to buy it because the moment you slap a trailer on the thing, your range goes from 300, 400 miles to 100, 150. Not exact quotes. Don't quote me on that. But your range depletes greatly. Where if you had one of these EREVs, extended range electric vehicles, it had the generator under the hood like the new Ram will, like the Scout will, you wouldn't have to worry about that. You just buzz on down the road and you've got your electric for driving to work, going to the grocery store, going to the hunting grounds, heading out to the shooting range, going to the racetrack, going to the golf course. You'd have your electric for all of that, but you would still have that gasoline motor. But Ford's talking about they're going to do one more advertising blitz and really push that powering your home thing, from what I understand. And if it doesn't pick up some sort of sales, Ford might be discontinuing the electric Lightning. And that's really the most truck electric truck out there. General Motors have done a really nice with their EV truck that, is kind of an Avalanche. I think it's a good looking truck, just way, way too expensive. The Lightning's also up there in price. And Rivian, people love Rivians, but I think there's some quirkiness to the Rivian. People buy the Rivian because they can say, they don't have to say, hey, I got an electric car, I'm treating the environment, I'm special, whatever, I'm different. The Rivian says it all, where the Lightning, you really have to know what you're looking at. The Chevrolet EV truck, like I said, just looks like an updated Avalanche, which could be a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, it gives us a lot of diversity, but a lot of the Avalanches I see are pretty beat up and almost buy here, pay here vehicles anymore. And of course, the Cybertruck is the Cybertruck. You buy it because you want to be seen. I don't think you're buying it to be a pickup truck. I do understand that some are going into police use now. I'm sure Tesla is donating into police departments or however, but Vegas is supposed to be getting some Cybertruck police cars or police trucks in the coming weeks, and it's supposed to be followed by multiple municipalities afterwards. But we're talking about potentially killing off the electric trucks. We're talking about sales declines across the board in electric vehicles. There's not all the press and touting how great electric cars are. They're just kind of mundane in the news. And that really makes you wonder. Well, even let's talk Lucid. Lucid just came out and cut their production target for this year by 60%. Their target they cut it to like 18,000 units. I mean, they've had a jump in revenue and things, but they, again, reducing the number of vehicles that they're going to produce. And Lucid really wasn't affected by the tax credit or anything because its base price exceeded the stipulations to get into the tax credit. I don't think the vehicle could exceed $60,000. And I don't believe Lucid has a vehicle under $60,000. So the $7,500 federal tax credit would have never applied to it. Lucid still exists because Saudi Arabia has invested somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 to $2 billion to keep the company alive. And it's just a really oddball thing. But we're sitting here, we're looking at this, and then just this afternoon, we're recording on November 6, 2025. The Tesla board came back and approved Elon Musk's requested pay package lots of goals on this pay package. But, well, I'm trying to quickly look at my notes here. I mean, there's vehicle sales increases, there's annual revenue, there's all kinds of little targets in order for Elon Musk to get this full pay package. Now, if I'm not mistaken, a year and a half ago, the board at Tesla was throwing a fit because of Elon Musk's previous pay package. It was like $150 or $200 million, some astronomical number. I almost made the background tonight a picture with Lee Iacocca. And in 1985, Lee Iacocca made $20 million in a year. And that was the highest paid executive in the world. $20 million in today's world, and it's not $20 million anymore, really. That's kind of a month's salary, a week's salary for some people. You know, it's just, the money's crazy. And I remember just 2 or 3 years ago, maybe it was 5 years ago, I don't know, in recent times, within the last decade, Apple became the first $1 trillion company, first company to hit $1 trillion in market value. And now we've had, then it fell off, and now we've got a lot of companies that are worth $1 trillion. Elon Musk's pay package over the next 10 years is $1 trillion, $100 billion a year, provided he meets all his targets and goals and such. My question is, where the heck is the money going to come from? Yes, this is $1 trillion in stock. It's going to deplete the stock or devalue the stock that's already been issued, because they'll probably issue more stock, etc. The $1 trillion is based on today's market value for Tesla stock, and I didn't even look up before the show, but I should have. Tesla's stock price today is $445.91, so say $450 a share, give or take. Actually, yesterday it was 454, so we're not too crazy, but it's down today. $1 trillion. Is he really worth $1 trillion? Keep in mind, he's not only has Tesla, he has Neuralink, he has SpaceX, he has his AI company, he has Grok. He's not focused on just, this isn't like one job either. When Iacocca did it in 85, the only thing he did was chairman of Chrysler. He wasn't doing much else. I guess he was doing the side thing, restoring the Statue of Liberty, helping that charitable foundation. But it really wasn't a job he was doing to create a new thing. And I just, if I was an investor in Tesla, which I may be, I may not be, I don't know, but I don't think I would have voted for this. And some of the people that said they were not going to vote for this were some of the largest shareholders in Tesla. But obviously, it passed. He has to, let's see here. He has to create the raise Tesla's market capitalization to $8.5 trillion. He has to, I'm not even sure what else he has to do, but even if he doesn't do any of this, he still gets billions of dollars in stock options and that for being at Tesla. I am a capitalist at heart, and all the power to you. But I have a hard time wrapping my head around a $1 trillion 10-year contract. But then again, Don't the LA Dodgers have a guy that plays for them? It's got a $780 million contract or something like that. I don't know for how many years or whatever. So $1 billion to play baseball, $1 trillion to run an electric car company, yeah, which honestly changed the world. But I don't know. And other things. Back in 2020, General Motors introduced a 10-speed automatic that was designed a lot in partnership with Ford. And these are used in their Duramax diesel pickups, etc. And I can't quite figure out where the connection is. But as of January 1st, 2026, they've stopped producing heavy-duty Chevrolet and GM vehicles with the Duramax logo, or excuse me, not the Duramax, with the Allison transmission logo on them. And as of January 1st, 2026, dealers will be required to remove any badging on the vehicle that alludes to an Allison-built transmission in the truck, because technically they're not Allison-built transmissions. They might be authorized and maybe slightly developed with them, but technically this transmission was designed more with General Motors and Ford than General Motors and Allison. And by June 29th, it will be again, General Motors will be in violation of the agreement because they will no longer be paying Allison for licensing to sell their trucks with the Allison badges on them. So they have basically till the end of June of next year to have all the Allison badges removed from all of the brand new trucks. This doesn't go retroactive, but this goes ever since 2001. The Duramaxes and that all have had these Allison transmission badges on them. Maybe General Motors figured out that people weren't buying trucks because of the Allison transmission, but I know damn well people were buying Dodges because of the Cummins diesel. A little bit different, but was it Ford? Didn't Ford have issues with the transmission or something? So, I mean, the Allison transmission screams quality. I mean, technically, the newest Allison transmissions are going into Abrams tanks or something. I don't know. I went away, and this is going to be a little bit odd, but I'm going to quickly go back and say, just in case you're here on the video, and I don't know why my background's not here, I'm going to push some button while I'm talking to you, but I was saying the Elephant is back. We've got the Elephant, a wonderful vehicle, our wonderful motor. About time, Stellantis is stepping up their game. I don't know if I'm going to get a background back, so this video is really going to suck, but I apologize. But maybe you listen to it audio. So you've heard about the Elephant twice. You've heard about the new Dude pickup truck coming, the updated TRX. We've got a lot of fun stuff happening out there. Now we're going to go to, and it's an interesting article. Talked about it many times. They're questioning Subaru BRZ WRX sales. They're flatlining. And again, it's a headline. Subaru BRZ and WRX sales are flatlining. Where are all the enthusiasts? I can't tell you who put this out. This is on the Drive. Is that really the right question? How about Subaru BRZ and WRX sales are flatlining? Where is the inventory? You cannot sell a vehicle if you don't stock it. That is so true. I've seen so many cars, and it just irritates the piss out of me that we blame the cars. We blame the buyers. It's the dealers. The dealers don't stock these vehicles. And if the dealers don't have these vehicles in stock, nobody's going to go buy them. Oh, I want a BRZ. Can't drive it? Well, hell, I'm just going to order it. Well, yeah, in this internet world, yeah, maybe you get a couple of sales. You're really going to boost your sales if you have a couple of cars in stock. I checked the BRZ inventory for the Birmingham area, 50-mile radius of Birmingham. Two brand new BRCs in stock compared to 14 GT86s. WRXs I didn't look at, but I wonder what the WRX number is compared to, say, the GR Corollas. Toyota made this wonderful car, the Scion. I can't think of what it's called. It looked like the smart car, but it's at 3. They stopped making them because nobody bought them, because no Scion dealership stocked them. They were always ordered. Are always order. I wanted to see one. I went to multiple Toyota dealerships on multiple different months. Nobody ever had one in stock. How people bought them, I don't know. When I see them at like CarMax and such, they don't last long because they do sell. Because guess what? The car's there. It's a good value. It works for a good city car. Again, I just do not understand. You can't sell a car if you don't stock it. And I've seen so many sports cars die because of that. And I don't, yes, 2-door sports coupes, they're not going to sell a lot of cars. 4-door, $50,000 sport coupes, seems Honda has no problem selling Civic SIs and SIRs and that. But Subaru can't sell WRXs because they're not stocking the right WRX, or Subaru isn't making it, what the customer wants. I'm tired of seeing cars again like that, we built what the customer wants. Look at the most recent Pontiac GTO, for example. Yeah, they're fun cars, big V8s, but we wanted the Holden Commodore or whatever that was. We didn't want this kind of toned down, a little bit Americanized version. Maybe you should have sold the version that was sold, but maybe there should have been that raw sports car level for $7,000 or $9,000 more in today's dollars. You just can't sell these things, and you can't knock these. It just saddens me to see these cars. I mean, Mazda plugs away at it. They just keep making the Miata. Under no rhyme or reason should Mazda ever make another Miata. yes, they're fun cars, they're great cars, they're neat cars, but there's such a small portion of Mazda's sales. And yes, Mazda did have to concede, and instead of going to a next generation Miata, they did kind of refresh the current generation Miata just recently. But, there's dollars and cents here, but it doesn't seem that Ferrari has trouble selling cars and Lamborghini has trouble selling cars. And yes, that's absolutely crazy. But Porsche doesn't have trouble selling $100,000 Boxsters, and Mercedes doesn't have a problem selling $120,000 AMG GTs and stuff. But not all of us have $100,000 for a car. A lot of us have 40. And that market doesn't, people I know with AMG GTs don't necessarily have another car. That's kind of it. The wife might have an SUV, or the husband might have an SUV, or however it's going about. But we need these $40,000 cars and the sports cars. And the only way we're going to get these $40,000 sports cars is for the dealers to stock them. And I don't know if the manufacturer has to require it, that for every, 60 F-150s you order, you get whatever, say Focus ST, or what, I don't want to say Mustang, because they don't seem to have trouble selling Mustangs. I just don't understand it. And I'm tired of seeing these headlines blaming the enthusiasts. Yeah, you might have an argument on the enthusiasts and buying manual transmissions, but as I've said repeatedly in the past, I am not a manual transmission person anymore. I like manuals. I enjoy driving manuals, but it's last year's technology. I mean, I have an extremely expensive table saw in the garage called the Saw Stop because of the technology on it. Do I use a handsaw? No, I have an extremely expensive Saw Stop table saw. That's newer technology. Yes, the manual transmission is like sawing and sawing and sawing. But for some reason, people still want manuals. And there's the bread and butter and exciting thing to this episode, that Tremec just introduced a new 6-speed manual transaxle. Now, somebody's got to do the software for the vehicles, but it is specifically designed to replace the dual clutch transmission in the C8 Corvette. You can end up with a 6-speed manual transmission, uses the mounting points for the C8's 8-speed dual clutch automatic. So we can have manual swaps C8s. People are paying tons of money to manual swap their Astons and their Ferrari 360s and their 458s and things like that. So if you really need to row your own gears, Tremec has helped you out with the Corvette C8. The transaxle can handle up to 1,000 horsepower and 800 pound-feet of torque, along with about, they say, an 8,600 RPM input speed. Those are just standard little check off the boxes. But like I said, somebody's going to have to write the software, but I guarantee you somebody will be able to write the software to make this transmission work. It's kind of like the first guy that did a 26-inch rim. Do you do the 26-inch rim, or you do the 26-inch tire? Which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Well, nobody's going to write the software for a Corvette C8 to handle a manual transmission that you row your own gears in and you have a third pedal, unless somebody makes the transaxle. And somebody actually made the transaxle. They didn't wait for the software, because the software is going to come. It's going to happen. But I keep reading these and oh, wow. What do I want to say? And everybody's talking C8. They overlooked the fact, in a couple of journalists I've seen in that who go, boy, we wish this was a manual, but it's only available with the dual clutch 8-speed. And I'm not talking about the C8 at this point. I'm talking about the Mustang GTD. And ironically, the Mustang GTD and the C8 Corvette use the TR 9080 DCT transmission. So the GTD uses the same transmission as the Corvette. So if you're a programmer, you got C8 software to be writing, you got Mustang GTD software to be writing. I don't know who might cut up their GTD to stick a manual in, but I guarantee you somebody is. Yeah, granted, it's a $300,000, $400,000 Mustang, but $300,000, $400,000 isn't a lot of money to some people. Hell of a lot of money to me, probably a hell of a lot of money to you, but is not a hell of a lot of money to some people. So that just kind of, even though I'm anti-manual transmission, manual transmissions are last year's technology. Doesn't matter. People want it. People are going to write the checks. Obviously, Tremec's writing the checks. Now, granted, they also make that same a dual clutch transmission for these vehicles. But so in theory, this transmission should go in your C8 Stingray, your Z06, your ZR1. I don't know about your ZRX, ZR1X or whatever it's called, but I think between the Corvette market for those three models and the Mustang GTD market, and I'm sure that transmission's getting slipped in somewhere else. I'd like to go back and see what was put into the most recent Ford GTs. 2020 Ford GT transmission. Nope, it's a 7-speed dual clutch transmission for my Get Rig. So now we can't give you a bonus there, but enjoy your new manual transmission GTDs and your C8s if you got the money and you got the skills. But like I said, exciting night. We've got something special in store for you in the next episode. I'm looking forward to doing it. It will be pre-recorded. It will not be streamed live, but we're going Saturday to get the footage, do the work, and you'll have a one hell of a follow-up episode to this episode of No Driving Gloves. If you are interested in maybe picking up a guest host role on No Driving Gloves, I haven't totally discounted getting a guest host, but don't know. I'm enjoying doing the solo stuff, and I've got some ideas how to keep doing this solo. But if you get tired of listening to me babble on for 40 or 50 minutes about things and not having a little bit back and forth, this is No Driving Gloves, gloves off approach to the car hobby. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Hit that follow button, like and subscribe wherever you're getting this YouTube or Apple Podcast, but just go to our website, nodrivinggloves.com. Send us a note, subscribe there, see all of the back issues. We have links to both the audio and the video. Everything's caught up. Everything's out. Every word that No Driving Gloves has uttered in the last 8 years is out for your listening pleasure. And with that, tonight, it's time for this to shut down, and I will say it. Time to get off your ass, go burn some gas, because John is out.